Welcome back to the Align Your Stars podcast, where we'll be exploring the cosmic patterns that shape our lives. I'm your host, Lumi Palenko, and I have exciting news to share with all my amazing listeners today. Life is full of unexpected turns and life events, and it's no different for me. So, due to some exciting changes that has been happening in my life, I'm going to be taking a short break, and I will be hosting Align Your Stars until further notice. And don't worry, I promise it is good news. So, while I'm away, I wanted to make sure you have something special that you can enjoy. So, I've arranged a collaboration with Sonia Bada. We explore all of the celestial events and planetary alignments that will be shaping this upcoming year. And I also offer insights into how they may affect your life and what you can do to navigate them successfully. So Sony is a former news anchor and has a unique perspective that I know you will absolutely love. And her podcast is called We Gotta Talk. It covers a wide range of topics and always keeps you engaged. And I couldn't think of a better person to collaborate with in this special episode, as well as share this special episode as a closing episode for the year of 2023. So during my break, I encourage you to grab your favorite drink, find a cozy spot, and tune into We Gotta Talk with Sony for an insightful and captivating discussion for the astrology of 2024. I also want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support and love throughout this journey with Align Your Stars this year. And I truly appreciate all of your messages, questions, and interactions. And you are the reason why this podcast exists for however long I've been running it. And I am forever grateful. Rest assured, this break is temporary. So I'll be back soon, fully rejuvenated and ready to explore the cosmic wonders with you all once again. Until then, make sure you stay connected by seeing me on social media on my Instagram. So the handle is Lumi Palenku, and you can also subscribe to my newsletter. So what you do is go on my website, which is lumipalenko.com. You could subscribe and you will stay in the know of any upcoming major transits that will be happening for the next several weeks. So stay in touch with me on that platform and you'll be in the know as to when I do return with the Align Your Stars podcast for future episodes, which I'm very excited to explore in this upcoming year. And we'll be evolving quite a bit. So stay tuned for that. Thank you once again for joining me on this journey. And I will catch you on the next episode of Align Your Stars podcast. And I will see you then. Be well.
Oh my gosh. Are we there? Are we there?
Yeah. Hi.
Ever been a longer wind up to an episode? What is happening, Lumi? Is this the stars speaking for 2024? It took us like 8 times to get this started. Then I hit record and it didn't record. I had to go fix some files on my end.
We're in the Mercury shadow period, so that's the reason. Like it usually happens like 2 to 3 weeks prior to when Mercury officially goes retrograde. That's why.
Didn't we just have a whole period of Mercury retrograde for like a decade? It just felt like that, maybe.
No, it was Venus retro. That was over the summer.
Okay, wait. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So here we are. We're doing, guys, I should do a quick intro here. If you've been listening to the podcast for a couple of years, you know we have a very wonderful, we call her our resident astrologer, maybe, Lumi Palenko. Lumi is also known as the celestial astrologer, and she has been advising individuals as well as companies and podcasts like ours about what to expect, like what the stars have in store. And I think I speak for all of us, Lumi. And I say this at the end of every year, but here we go. When I say we need a better next year. But it doesn't seem to be happening. So anyway, what is this? Your 4th year with us? 4th?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It feels like yesterday I just met you. It's incredible how these years just flew by. In 2020, though, it was like a really long drag. But then from 2021 till now, I feel like it was like a whole flash. I don't know if you feel the same way as I do, but yeah, it's been quite an intense year. How was your year in 2023 before I even jump right into the astrology?
Oh, goodness gracious. It was pretty good. You know, my bar for a good year is the people that I love are healthy and happy and safe. And that was a good year. I mean, you know, there have been bumps and I know that there have been bumps for you too, and for a lot of people that I know and love. And you know, I don't know that the stars can ever fix what we all deal with, and that sort of like, not to get overly deep, but yeah, it was a mixed bag of a year, but overall I can't complain. The people that I love and that matter most to me are with me, and that's what I'm grateful for. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Like I even was reflecting for like 2023 and even like the way I approach astrology. I work a lot with people who want to work within the now in terms of like the
Mm.
intensity of like any transits that's going on. So like I maneuvered my practice into becoming more of like a transformation life coach alongside with my astrology business. And that's how I see the way the stars work. It's more along the lines of showing the filter of what we're experiencing. But with this knowledge, we're going to be able to transmute it and make ourselves feel better, feel
Mhm.
more reassured, also better prepared to like work through these intensities that we're about to experience. And it's not to say like I dump this information on you and just go and work with it, but it's more along the lines of you having the conscious awareness for one, as I mentioned before, but working your way through by the conscious awareness to find the solution basically, and
Mhm.
just stay empowered, even though you may be going through intensities in your life, or maybe like external sources are not really working with you at the moment. It's about finding the peace within yourself alongside with the stars, because you could find the silver lining in your experience as you work through it.
Yeah, and that's what I love about talking with you too, is that it's less prescriptive. It's less, here's what's going to happen next year, deal with it. It's like, hey, this is what it might feel like, but here's how it could be best case scenario, and here's how it might be challenging, and here are some things you can do. So I love that you're working in the life coaching with this, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are scared of astrology, Lumi, because they're like, well, if I can't change anything anyway, what's the use? Or but it's not like that. It's almost, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's like understanding the weather before we walk outside. We're not
Yeah.
going to change it, but we can be prepared for it, and we can be impacted by it less if we prepare.
Yeah, that's how I truly see it. I've always seen it, even when I was working within myself. Like
Mhm.
astrologers usually become astrologers when they see how the stars can coincide with their experiences.
Mm.
In my journey is more about like relationship strategies, or understanding like how to navigate through dating and all that stuff, and also how to repair past relationships that have not really worked with you.
Mhm.
And you get to understand it more deeply. I did, like, for several of your clients, not your clients, but your listeners. They've all come to me mostly for like relationship astrology, and that's like my specialty. I work mostly with women who want to navigate through toxic relationships with one, but
Mhm.
also how to become more self-empowered within themselves before they start dating,
Mhm.
become more self-assured in their journey and certain of their direction as to what they're working towards in their
Yeah,
relationships before the relationship starts.
I
So
love that.
yeah, I
I
love that
love that.
too. Yes, go on. And that's how I see astrology. It's like even like with the general themes and the overall 2024, like, or astrological insights that extend, it's meant to help you ride the waves, and
Mhm.
as well as make, sound choices based on
Mm.
your free will. That's how I work with it. And
I
it's not
love it.
in any way.
And guys, we're formatting this episode similar to what we've done before. So here's what you're going to get. We're going to get some broad brush stroke overviews of what 2024 is going to feel like societally, culturally, maybe even politically or geopolitically.
Mhm.
And then we're going to go through each sign, and we're going to talk about themes, feelings, general vibes you can expect by sign. And I'm grateful to Lumi, because I think we sort of made this format change a couple of years back. And I was like, all this info is wonderful, but let's make it specific to each person, because everybody likes to listen for their own sign and for the signs of the people in their lives. So we'll go through the sort of general, I don't want to call them predictions, but patterns that we may experience in 2024. Yeah. And then we'll go sign by sign. And you were so kind as to like post this and send me a document ahead of time. So I've been reviewing. And let's do it. Let's get right in. I think we're recording this at a time, Lumi, when the world, unfortunately, is literally and figuratively bleeding and hurting. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people are going to be looking for solace or for a sense of peace
Yeah.
next year. Can we start on that theme and ask if you anticipate, based on the charts, we can expect a little more healing next year?
I love the fact that you asked that question, because the one asteroid that I oftentimes work with, and I mentioned on the show before, I think maybe
Mhm.
about 2 years back. It's called Chiron, the asteroid that has to do with the wounding that
Mm.
we experience in our journey, but as well as finding the healing balm. Now, Chiron's the asteroid in the collective level. It's in the sign of Aries. Aries is all about becoming the self-starter. It's also bringing on a theme of understanding what conflict means. So that's probably the reason why, most likely the reason why the general theme of collective, issues, or the collective like situation right now has to do with, for one, it's violence. Another,
Mm.
it's who are our leaders? Who's really leading us? Who is really guiding us at this moment now? But Chiron, it's meant to awaken within each soul individual in terms of them discerning what leadership means for them. And that falls in alignment with the collective level, but also within yourself as to like how you will guide yourself from point A to point B by your own conscious free will. Aries has to do, it's the first sign of the zodiac for one, but it's also about you creating a crystal clear vision and actually taking charge and making that mark that you want to create. So in the general collective, like in alignment with what's going on right now, as you mentioned, like the word bleeding, it's so fitting for Chiron because in the story of the Chiron energy, it has to do with wounding. So it's very interesting, lack of a better word. Now, in terms of the collective unit, I also mentioned this other thing, this other celestial point in the birth charts. It's called the North Node. We all have it with our birth charts, but even the collective has a North Node. North Node means it's the area in our lives where there's like uncharted territory. We're meant to make a mark in some way or form, crossing paths with the uncomfortable territory. Now, the North Node is in alignment with Aries, the Chiron in Aries.
Mhm.
So what that means is, as a general unit, people are just starting to wake up to the realization of them questioning what leadership means. What can I do to make impact? Or how do I spread self-awareness? Or who am I basically? Like people are just like, it's a little confusing. It's almost like I like to compare it to like the it's like the puberty stage
Mhm.
where people are going through like existential crisis in regards to who they are and how does this world actually generate.
Do you anticipate that people, and I'm going to just kind of use this as a turn of phrase, not literally, people, it sounds like, are looking for their own North Star, right? They're looking for someone or something to believe in. So could it mean, um, uh, you know, is this a distrust in systems that were in place? I feel like we talked about this last year too. And how does that manifest? We've been seeing, much like the past several years, protestings, uprisings, people voicing their collective concern about issues, even on both sides of any given issue.
Mhm.
I guess what I'm asking is, how does that end and how does that manifest? Because if people are distrustful of, say, a source of information or a leader, to me it sounds like the potential of more chaos, and that's concerning to me. So what does it actually translate to?
It's more of like an end of a paradigm, like an old paradigm that we once believed was working. And it may have worked for like the last 200 or so years. However, we're entering a new paradigm of becoming more collective based, not becoming soul serving, letting go of the idea of what capitalism is. And I'm not saying like we're going to be like totally like singing kumbaya with everybody tomorrow, but it's more along the lines of us understanding of how to connect with each other more on a soul level. The reason why I'm saying that is I even mentioned this on your show a couple of times. Pluto, the collective planet, it has to do
Mhm.
with representation of the slow build of realization that's meant to come into our consciousness. It wasn't the sign of Capricorn since the year 2008. Capricorn has to do with authority, old structures, disciplines, any systems of thought or beliefs that was once considered right. Pluto, mind you, disintegrates things. It dissolves our old perceptions of what was working. Now it's just about to end its reign. So if you think back, all the way back to 2008, that was the housing market. The housing market bubble burst, right? Also leading into us questioning authority, questioning what our leaders are actually doing. Because Capricorn, mind you, has to do with like the actual structures that we built that have been like, it's almost like a template that we once been following constantly. But Pluto's meant to like slowly peel away what really is in alignment with us anymore. We're becoming much more aware as to what's working, what's not.
I
Now,
just wonder how that's going to look. I wonder how, and we've talked about this before, like how government structures will look and how politics will look and how like governing bodies will look. Like as humans, we crave and we need order and discipline. And I love a Capricorn. My son is a Capricorn. I love the idea of predictability and a solid system on which to build. And I know that there's beauty in the chaos too. So I'm just sort of, I guess, expressing a little bit of concern because while revolution and evolution is necessary, I worry about what happens to get to that new system. So
the
can you speak to
last time,
that?
yeah, the last time this happened was actually during the French Revolution and also the birth of the country.
Right.
Around that time, that's when Pluto was in Capricorn, but it was like the end skirts of Pluto and Capricorn transit into the Pluto and Aquarius. So I feel like the peak of the heavy build already happened. It's more about the release point
Okay. So
when
we're kind of
Pluto
settling.
entered Aquarius. Hmm?
The dust is settling.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I mean, intuitively from what I'm picking up, but also even like with political systems, yeah, I think this is like the last wave of us working with what was considered right for this
Mhm.
country and as well as the global politics and the way it's been run. But I also feel like there will be like emergence of other people or like even other cultures will be collaborating with us.
Okay.
I've sensed this even like even looking at America's birth chart. I've done like a whole analysis. Like you can catch it on my Instagram live. That was like done like 3 years ago. We're very collective. We're very much about like all eyes on others, but also
Mhm.
people have all eyes on what we do. So yes, go on.
Okay, I have so many questions about this.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to talk about the American project, the democracy project, right?
Mhm.
Because you brought this up, and I love this, and I really always think about how wonderful it is to be born in a time where we have the ability and freedoms to sort of reflect on what works and doesn't work. We're not like bound, we have the free speech and free thought to do this. So let's just have a little thought experiment. So a lot of people are just crapping on America lately, whether it's related to foreign policy or anything that has to do with the free market system, or even what's happening in universities, like this sort of chaos that's unfolding in various ways in the educational space.
Mhm.
Um, and yet it's still the place, it's still the country that people most often are trying to come to immigrate to flock to. I don't know about the numbers on that, but I just based on the amount of immigration that seems to be legal and illegal happening in our country, it seems like it's still drawing people in. So let's talk about our country for a second. And let me ask you, will we always exist as a democracy based on what you're seeing? I know this is a little crystal bally, but like, even though we're going through these growing pains and
Mm.
that as a country, we're trying to figure out what systems are best to govern our people, like, do you foresee, or in our American birth chart, do you foresee any disintegration of the system as a whole?
I feel that like the nature of our country, for one, it's a Cancer sun country. Like it's all about like security, nesting,
Mm,
home, roots. But it's got like a Sagittarius rising. So for one, like looking at America's birth chart, like having a Sagittarius rising, even generally, like people who do have Sagittarius rising, they're more about like looking to the others in terms of what they're doing and why. Like
mm,
I feel like this country will be going undergoing a real big review in regards to like how we've been generating our structures as a country because this upcoming year Jupiter will be entering Gemini. It's the opposite of the chart ruler, which means Sagittarius is the opposite of Gemini. So Jupiter is about like really scoping in the big picture of what our country could be. So I'm
mm.
not saying it's going to be exactly like we'll figure out how this country will be run in terms of like the questioning of democracy, but I feel like all of our bearings will be in terms of like other people and what they're doing, like in terms of like emergence of ideas, emergence of collaborating, because Gemini is about receiving
Mhm,
information. We
mm.
had this semblance actually back in 2019 to 2020 when the nodes were in Gemini and Sagittarius. So it was more about like information. We're like just gathering, but we're not really applying to principle just yet. I just strongly feel that we'll probably look into others in terms of like what they've been doing and questioning if it will actually work with ours.
Oh,
So
that's interesting. Okay.
yeah, because Gemini's about info, exchanging information, trades, exchanging, like it's a very spiral kind of energy, Gemini. It's not really as rooted and grounded
Mm-hmm.
as you would say in a Capricorn energy where it's like finite. I
Yeah.
would say though in the next 4 or 5 years, that's when we'll have a better idea in
Okay.
terms of how this country will be run. It's not exactly like we're going to be automatically shifting to the next thing. It's more like we're like gathering data, gathering information at the moment now. I hope that answers your question.
It really does. Thank you for going down that road with me. I think,
Of course.
it's interesting to think of our country as being born, but you're right. It came into spiritual existence, I guess, at a particular point in time when that document was signed. And I love that idea of doing the birth chart for our country. Okay, another general theme that you brought up in your notes here is a huge media overhaul in 2024. Can you explain to us how this may look?
Yeah, that's when Jupiter enters Gemini. Again, like Gemini is about receiving the information. It's not exactly where the media overhaul will be compromised in any way, but I feel like in terms of the AI technology and the AI advancements, it will be taking a huge surge of pull in terms of like how we'll be generating our businesses and everything, and also our livelihood. It's only going to go up from here because we have so much air energy, including Pluto and Aquarius happening. So I mentioned to you that before. Pluto's about disintegrating what was once considered tangible.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's entering the air sign Aquarius. It's pretty happy there because Aquarius is all about like initiating changes, starting new things. Now with Jupiter and Gemini on top of that, that's actually going to be birthing a new way of how we'll be generating our systems. And this will be through AI, most definitely. I have to say, it's a little scary because it's really uncharted territory for us all. Like it's not something where we can easily grasp because we're such physical beings. We don't understand how it works. But it's just basically. I mean, I had actually not a data, but an AI specialist talk to me about that. Actually, I'm interviewing her for my podcast soon. She talked to me about I was like, how does this work? Because I have no idea what this is. She said it's basically like a gathering of all of this data over time, like from the past 50 years. It's all like conducted into this kind of system, like where the computer does generate based on your key prompts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's not as advanced as we needed. It's not going to compromise our creations just yet. However, we may misuse it.
Yeah.
Because we might lose our ability to create something from our own, and we may rely on a script of an external source that's been conducted from random key phrases and such. Now, and to go back to your question in terms of the overhaul and all this stuff, it's not going to happen just yet, but it's more of like exploring with what we can do with it.
Yeah, AI. I feel like we could do a whole episode on this alone, but knowing what humans have done with technology in the past, and my husband and I are watching Oppenheimer right now, which gives you an idea of where my mindset is. The creator of the atomic bomb, or one of the minds behind it. We've done bad things with technology, is what I'm trying to say. And while I believe in innate dignity of the human spirit and a desire for peace, I also think that we are always trying to play God in some way, and AI is like an example of that. And I'm really concerned about where that could go in the wrong hands. But I guess we'll talk about that next year and see what happens.
Education is key. Like even for everything that we learn, it could even be us playing God by being influencers. I talked about that last year. Like, yes, there's nothing more than having a surge of influencers come into the frame.
Oh God, we're all bad. I know.
But
no,
it is like, how do you actually maneuver this information, right? Like, how do you work with it? It's mostly the person who has this stuff to start with, whether it be information, them taking a single class, they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to say I'm an influencer in this kind of category here. So yes, I would definitely see like a whole surgence of like ego, because we're like just trying to scrap away at security and survival. That's how human generates, unfortunately, when they're not in touch with themselves.
Mm.
Whenever they start connecting deeply as to the consciousness behind decisions and the way they're acting, you could maneuver it in a good way. Fortunately, like we do have conscious will, we also have choice. And as souls, it's all about like those really crucial moments in our lives where we have to pay attention and we become much more in touch with life, more in touch with all the choices we can make too.
I love that. I wanted to talk quickly before we move into the specific signs. You
Sure.
mentioned a period of financial instability, August through December of next year. This Jupiter in, I don't know what this means. I'm going to read it. Jupiter in Gemini square Saturn in Pisces. Can you talk about that? Because people want to know what's going to happen with their money for
Yeah,
sure.
Jupiter is like the power planet for the last year, because Jupiter has been in Taurus, it's still in the sign of Taurus. It's all about like Jupiter, for one, is all about magnifying on things, really placing the scope of focus on such matters. Even though Jupiter and Taurus, people automatically assume like, I'm going to be a millionaire this year, I'm going to make so much money, I'm going to make big investments in 2022 to 2023. But it's not the case, because it's more about reviewing as to what are the resources you're using and why, not just scrapping away. I keep using that word for some reason, but just like grabbing at everything and every movement of thinking that it's going to give us the next best thing, or like it's like a gambling kind of energy, the Jupiter and Taurus, because I've noticed even like my clients and also everybody else, they were trying every single thing that worked for other people, where they were not really focusing on what works for them.
Hmm.
So that's why it's important to become very grounded for this time, because Jupiter's still in Taurus right now, but it created like such an influx of like so much waste, and people were like wasting a lot when it comes to like resources that they were working with. They were like, oh yeah, that worked for the other person, I'm going to give it a go. But they didn't really do the careful research. I'm not speaking for everybody on this planet, but most people I've spoken to, they're like, I feel like my bank account has been like so minimal compared to last year,
Oh my
because
gosh.
waste.
Don't even. Yes.
Yeah, like making online orders. You're like, yeah. I'm just gonna try this, and this, because Jupiter's all about, it's overflowing too much though, and Taurus is the sign of money, and resources and such.
So when you say the financial markets could be unstable that time of year, again, you're saying around August 19th through December 4th, just be wary of when and how you invest. I guess both your time and your energy, or I'm sorry, your time and your money.
Yeah, because I see Jupiter Gemini, as I mentioned before, it's about research. It's about really becoming intentional with what you're doing. But the thing about air energy is we might make an impulsive purchase. And Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is another structural kind of planet, but Saturn's in Pisces. So Pisces is about like, la di da. I love like beauty. I love spending. I like anything by how I feel. Whereas Jupiter and Gemini is just like, yeah, I'll go with that idea. That's incredible. I can make the next biggest thing out of that. But they're kind of like contradicting planets and signs, because Saturn loves like structure and everything. Whereas Jupiter's about like, well, I just want to play and I just want to try things, I want to experiment. With all those planets like making a square with each other, or a square with those two planets and signs, it's very contradictory, very paradoxical, and it might backfire and respect. So just be mindful in the summer of 2024 when it comes to making major purchases. So you should be okay. Like, it's just like, it's about doing the careful research, really working with what the resources you have now. How can you evolve it? How you could evolve it into a better state? So in this case, it could be your current business, or it could be like maybe your current investment property. Maybe it needs some renovations or something like that, where you can make a better sale. Now, if you have a business, well, this is a period of time where you can get more creative, much more innovative in your approach. Start trying new things with what you're most passionate about, because Saturn in Pisces is past. Whereas like you're reflecting back in terms of like when you were younger, or the last 29 years, because the last time Saturn was in Pisces was in 1997 approximately. So reflecting back as to that period of time, what were you most passionate about? What were you working with at the time? Like, what made you truly happy? You can do that. It can also be in reflection of how you were dealing with people in a day-to-day life. Maybe you're going to be reconnected with old flames or old,
Mhm.
people who you once considered very close to you. It's about reconnecting in terms of what you've been building.
Okay.
And it builds more solid foundations because of that reason, because you're reflecting backwards in order to make solid choices in the future.
Love it. Okay, let's go sign by sign through 2024. We're going to start with Aries. And I'm just going to, you gave me this wonderful sort of cheat sheet ahead of time. So I'll just tell you what I'm seeing and I kind of want you to expound. You say maybe a career shift, reinventing your aspirations. There's an opportunity to create
Very,
impact on the world. Talk about Aries and the themes that they can expect for next year.
yeah, I love Aries because they are like working with Gemini, like Jupiter. I've been talking a lot about Jupiter and Gemini, and I love that because Jupiter is about opportunity. It also reflects the yearly themes. We also work with Saturn energy for the year ahead too, because these are like longer term planets in terms of moving with sign to sign. So when we look to Aries, Aries are like really taking on like a new role in their process
Mhm.
of life. And also just mentioning before, even the node is sitting on their first house, the north node in Aries. So like all the attention's on them involving their next decision in terms of their life purpose. They may be
Huh.
feeling more inspired to take on a new career role, maybe even reinventing their aspirations. It's an opportunity for them to create a lasting impact because they have built so much information within themselves with their past experiences. And relationships, for one, they're so relationship oriented for the last several years, but now it's more about like, yes, they can coincide with relationships. However, it's their moment to start becoming more prioritizing with their goals and aspirations, with their actual passions in life and actually living it. So they need to be more authentic. And once they are, they'll actually have more solid foundations and solid connections with people too. So in this case, with them, it's all about their life purpose and as well as becoming more creative and more reinventing an approach.
All right,
And that's Aries.
Aries.
Yes.
Be authentic, Aries. That's the lesson. Okay, let's do Taurus now. Know and love a lot of Tauruses, and
Yes.
I cannot wait to hear what you say about this.
Yeah, even Taurus, like they're going through a whole boost in their self-esteem. Uranus has been on their first house for a very long time and it's still continuing its reign in their first house. So they've been undergoing quite a bit of shifts within their persona as well as their approach to life. Like they have been questioning things and
Mhm.
perhaps going through an existential crisis for the last several years, but it's actually becoming more solid in regards to them being comfortable with reinventing themselves. They are going through also like a different changes in their health and routine this year. So it's
Mhm.
all like about like their year's going to be more approaching life with becoming more comfortable with the uncomfortable
Hmm.
and also shifting their health care and routines as well too. And the best way is then to stop looking at what other people are doing in terms of like the excessive scrolling and things like that, because the sixth house is activated this year by like a lot of series of planets this year. So it would be best for them to start like focusing on their health and well-being, being more connected with their body. So it's going to help them become more focused with their goals this year.
Just one follow-up question, because I have a special Taurus in my life. You
Yes.
talk about remodeling your self-worth. For those Tauruses who've been struggling because maybe outside sources are telling them what their worth is, can you just give a little bit of advice from the stars on that particular aspect of their 2024 self-worth?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the best way to like remodel their self-worth and give themselves a boost is to try new things that they're most passionate about. In other words, like if they experiment with things such as like a new way like of how they're like showing themselves to the world for
Mhm.
one, and also trying something new when it comes to their skill set. That actually helps build up their confidence this year because their second house is activated with Jupiter. Jupiter in the second house is a really powerful opportunity for them to start gathering new tools of them building up their self-worth. So it could be like taking a class. It could be by investigating their financial like habits
Mhm.
for one, but it's also for them to like closely look within in terms of how they're generating themselves, like in relationships and such too. So it's more about like navigating through their lives
Mhm.
involving with, as I was mentioning before, it's very much involving like their own need for research in regards to what they're doing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you for spending a little extra time.
Of
All right.
course.
Gemini is next. What can they expect for 2024?
Gemini is such a powerful year for you because Jupiter is in your sign for this whole year, and your voice is going to be powered up. You're going to be witnessing a cultivation of your goals this year. It's time to focus on your inner needs and tune into like your spiritual hygiene. The reason why I'm saying this is because Uranus is sitting in your 12th house of subconscious realms. So you may be feeling like a little like wonky, a little bit like you're spiraling out, but it's best for you to start navigating through your course by focusing within. It's most of the early signs that are experiencing this because Uranus has been playing a number on them, but especially for you, Gemini, like you are meant to like start focusing more within what your beliefs are
Mm.
and how are you actually living out these beliefs. Starting to put away the old thought patterns that you've once believed within yourself. You're going to be taking charge this year by you expressing who you are and as well as starting to cultivate that with any creations that you make in the year too. So it's really powerful because you will be very successful once you do so.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of themes of self-reflection and getting beyond these self-limiting beliefs for the Gemini.
And that's pretty much it. And like it's also a great year when it comes to deepening your spirituality, connectedness to life too. It's
Okay.
not like living on auto tune or autopilot. It's more about you being more authentic with your beliefs and living it out.
Love it. Okay, Cancer is next. What's up for
Cancer,
2024?
yeah, powering up like your friendship circles, finding your tribe, and also like observing like your current line of networks and connections. So you might experience a big shift when people that you once considered fun and secure, now it's about you getting more serious as to who you are extending your energy to and
Mm.
why. Like, are you truly feeling like yourself in these people, like in the space of these people? Or are you just kind of hiding behind the shadow of these people? So it's more about you expanding your horizons and as well as becoming more invested with your growth and having people around you who will be supporting that. So it's a really good year to like start expanding your higher mind, traveling, or just powering up your personal beliefs. Similar to Gemini in a sense, but in your case, it's more about you researching more and dabbling into different thoughts, different thought forms, and as well as expanding your horizons with people that you surround with.
In the notes you sent, you said there will be a shift in the activities you once considered fun and
Yeah.
secure. So their social calendars may look different too.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's Uranus in action here, and Uranus is
Yeah.
like advancing the later degrees, so it's more of like it's going to be cranking up their own beliefs, and for all the signs actually, Uranus like whenever Uranus is making the end degrees, like currently right now it's like approaching 25 degrees this year, so it's like we're acclimating much more with terms of like us marching to the beat of an odd drum that we once considered not normal years back,
Mhm.
like actually initiating those shifts in our lives that we need.
I love that. Okay, Leo is next. What will our Leo friends be feeling in 2024?
This is so powerful because like the area of your public image and leadership skills, it's going to be tested this year, but it's also through the integration of your unique talents. In other words, like anything that you've left behind or things that you've created self-doubt and like you felt like very limited and tested, it's actually a really good year where you're going to be recognized and fully acknowledged for this. So, because Uranus, again, sitting on, because I work mostly with Uranus planets, Uranus, the planet of change and reinvention.
Mm.
And this is your year where you're going to be making the necessary shifts in your career choices, or as well as like how you're presenting yourself to the world in the public sphere. It could be where you are launching a new project. It could be where you are stepping into a new way of how you're expressing yourself in the public eye. It's going to be a lot of shifts when it comes to your status. And
Mhm.
your blend of passion, power, and playfulness will inspire many to lead by your example. So a lot of people will be looking at you, not in a creepy way, but it's like looking at you for inspiration because you're living your true and authentic self through your passions.
I love how you said in the brief description for Leo, expect this year to be your year where you will be recognized and fully
Mhm.
acknowledged. It's going to be good
Yeah.
to be a Leo next year.
Yes, it for sure. I feel like Leos are really going to be going through like the amazing shift when it comes to them really truly grasping their own passions and pursuits. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, what about Virgo?
So they're going to be very ambitious this year as well. I mean, I would say they're going to be focusing more about what is leading them. Like, what are they truly leading to when it comes to their decisions? In other words, They may be inspired to travel more, perhaps write a book, and even research much more in terms of what they believe in. And in this case, they're going to be balancing practical wisdom with their ambitious dreams. Like they probably had like dreamed really big last year, but they didn't really know how. It's about like collecting all of the information and also the experiences that they've endured within the
Mhm.
last year. And also that being more of like the barometer of your decisions. So if they're like different, that's actually going to be more key to their success. So they have to really go against the norm of what they believe was once secure. And in this case, it's like traveling, studying, exploring new business approaches will likely be the case for them to integrate with their diverse experiences. So there's a likely chance that they will just drop things and go when it comes to expanding new horizons. But if they learn to trust that part of themselves, that actually will lead into the success that they desire.
You say immerse yourself in diverse experiences for the Virgos out there.
Yeah, it's like trying new things. They like maybe like do a retreat for themselves. They could do a new like they could integrate a new skill set in their business. Like it's going to be like a complete 180 when it comes to their business and all those things. Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's move on to Libra.
All
That's
right.
me. Love a Libra. What's in store for us next year?
This is your year to release your people pleasing tendencies.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, because you have Aries on your the North Node Aries in your seventh house. The South Node's currently in your first house. So let me talk about the first house.
Okay.
The first house is the house of self. It's our like our identity. Like who am I? Like what am I really doing in this life that makes me feel vitality? Like moves me through this life. Well, with the South Node in your first house, you're going to be releasing certain themes as to what you've been doing that's no longer alignment with you. The North Node in your seventh house means that you're going to be really powered up to initiate leadership themes or perhaps even like live on to the beat of your own off drum. It's like the peeling away of your consciousness or the peeling away of your old identity. And
Mhm.
you're going to be emerging much stronger this year. So explore the full spectrum of your emotions of all that buildup you've been experiencing this year and time. Because Saturn's in your hold on. Yeah, Saturn's in your sixth house. It's more about your approach to like how you've been working with the body, not really taking charge when it comes to listening to your intuition with the body. So you're going to be feeling that like that whole pull in terms of you determining with what's aligning with you or not, but it's through the body and how it feels. So your intuition is going to be skyrocketing this year as well when it comes to you navigate through choices that you make.
Mm.
And there's a lot of inner work in store for you, I would have to say.
What do
And
you mean? That's scary. Like inner work, like should we be meditating a lot or what should we
yeah,
do?
it could be like going more within, but like exploring like subconscious work and
Oh,
analyzing like the current sphere of your intimate relations and becoming more vulnerable in your approach to life and becoming more comfortable with that, like expressing yourself openly. You guys are truthful, but you kind of like sweep things under the rug when it comes to your needs. But this year it won't be the case. It's just going to
it's
be like powered up. Yeah.
it's so true. I mean, I mean, you know this because you've read my chart, but like I always say I'm like the Libraist of Libras, and I really have built a career on objectivity and seeing both sides. And I am feeling a calling lately to just to lead with more of the passion and the authenticity and not necessarily drop that because I think it's Libra's greatest skill set, right? Is the desire to see both sides. But I'm also feeling a strong pull to lean into what I feel and advocate for things that I feel strongly about, but it feels like a betrayal to my Libra self, Lumi. So I don't know.
It's going to be really good for you also because you got that Leo moon. So for this horoscopes like that I'm talking to you about now, like you could look for your sun, moon, and rising like as an
Mhm.
additional layer of what to expect in 2024. So yeah, with that Leo moon on top of that, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a really powerful year when it comes to your like role within this public sphere and really making the necessary changes that you need. And as well as people recognizing that. So it's going to move you very well as you learn to lean into that and trust it, especially for
Yeah.
Libras with that combination.
Okay, we'll be scheduling a separate session to further discuss.
I'll put that near your head for sure.
I
Um,
love it.
Also for Scorpio, speaking of Scorpio risings, you and I both share that. So
Yes, we do.
let's see what's happening with Scorpios now. So
Yes, let's
Scorpios,
talk.
It's a big shift happening in your relationships. Not to say it's bad for everybody, but Uranus is sitting in your seventh house of partnerships. It could be business partnerships, it could be relationships, like romantic partnerships. Something needs to change in regards to how you are generating in this relationship standards, but also you analyzing what your partner actually needs for this year. So it's good to like evolve, like talk to their partner, or even like you setting up the space of observing what the one means for you.
Mhm.
So you either will get engaged, you might break up, but it leads to like some like unexpected twist of fate where you meet your one that you were thinking of from the beginning. So it's a really good year to start analyzing like how you want your relationships to be in the most authentic way. Because Uranus likes to play a little dance with you. Uh,
Hmm.
you recognizing what is really in alignment with you in relationships for one, but also you having this sense of freedom in the relationship. So it could be a good year for you to like have a solo vacation just in order for you to feel closer in the relationship. So it's like
Mhm.
you need a little bit of space in this year, but it's not to say it's going to be bad for everybody, but it's more along the lines of you learning your identity in this relationship and learning your partner's identity, like seeing the true colors. So it's going to be really freedom driven this year and rejuvenating. So solo time, it's good. And it's also powering up your intuition, listen to your body. And also it's going to help you navigate your choices more soundly too, because of that reason. You
I
want to,
love it. You say freedom and rejuvenation will be your motto for the
yeah,
Scorpio. So, okay, I love
that's,
that.
it's beautiful. Yeah. It's just like, it's a really powerful transit for one, but it also will help you evolve like relationships more. You can really become closer as you have the space in between. It's not to say scary Scorpios here, but it's just meant to help you become more intentional in
Love it.
love. Okay.
Okay, let's move on to Sagittarius. This opening line, if I were a Sag, I'd be very excited. You say, "Get ready to be a showstopper this year, Sag." Okay, what is this?
So your fertile ideas are going to take root this year. Lucky, because Jupiter's sitting right on your seventh house of partnerships. And you're going to have the opportunity of elevating your voice and energize or becoming known for the things you care about. So it's just like Jupiter's like facing on with your sign. In other words, it's going to be powering up your ideas, powering up your approaches to life, becoming more brave. You may feel a little windswept. So it's like good to really wind down and slow down your process because there's a lot of air energy this year. So you might be like, there's like a lot of fertile ideas emerging from your mindset.
Mhm.
So become more structured in your plan. So it could be like whether it be like a career decision you have, it could be a romantic, like relationship. It's more about like establishing those boundaries needed or structure to your plans in order for you to feel more rooted. So it's going to be full of like serendipitous experiences also with people you connect with. So it's nice for collaborations this year, even romantic partnerships. It's just it looks like a really open and free year for you to explore things with what you set your mind to.
I feel like that's like the best reading we've done for all the signs so far. So Sagittarius, enjoy it.
Lads are doing great this year. Yeah, I'm happy for them because, and also Geminis are good too. But I feel like Sag, with their opposite sign, like they just have this opportunity of really experiencing the freedom because they've been working really hard for the last several years. Like they're ready to emerge new, like a butterfly. Finally, it's a butterfly year for them.
You've earned it, Sag. Okay, Capricorn is next. What's in store for them?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I would say like for Capricorn, the focus shifts from like relentless future planning to appreciating more of like the present moment. The power of now is actually going to be more of their motto of the year. So they're very productive. They're very good with success in life, but it's more about slowing down this year and focusing on home. You have to look around and discover the amazing aspects that you may have been overlooking. So it could be like a housing project, it could be an investment opportunity, or something that just seems like little, but it
Mhm.
might emerge something even more powerful and great for your year. In other
Mhm.
words, you probably start with a little seed of something, you might lose patience, but actually, if you do nourish that seed when it comes to creative aspects or anything, maybe even family planning or the idea of family planning or something like that, you just have to nourish that idea and just see where it takes root. Now, it's really good because you're going to have a lot of creative fun, reconnect with the artist within. Like, it's just like, it's going to be good for you to like start getting playful in your year. If
Mhm.
you work hard, it actually will make you hardened. It's more about you just like free flowing and see where the life takes you. And it starts by you aiming small when it
Yeah,
comes
you said consider the possibility of achieving greater success by working fewer hours. So keep that
to.
in the back of your mind, Capricorn.
Yes, it's okay. The work's still going to be waiting for you. I'm not telling you to get lazy or anything like that, but it's more by you as you like learn to become more trusting in the creative process, it'll actually emerge you much more successful because of it. But when you're working hard, it's like you're like crossing over a brick wall. It's like it takes time for you to climb. So spiral away.
Love it. Okay, let's move on to Aquarius for 2024.
All right, you're going to have a very transformational year and you're going to be stepping up like as an industry leader. And it also could include like your domestic life as well because Pluto is entering Aquarius. Oh my gosh, it's a very exciting year for you because years to come for you actually, because this is your moment to really shine among your networks and be recognized for your brilliance and leadership because Pluto in Aquarius is more about like yes, I'm going to go through a lot of transformation for one, but I'm also going to be stepping up as that transformation and embracing the possibility of me making impact.
Hmm.
So, very expansive. You're going to feel like a spark of thirst for an adventure and trying new things. And also with the home life, you're going to be like researching more what home means for you by looking elsewhere. Not telling you you're going to move this year, but it's more about you intentionally setting down your roots. Could be either you establishing more of like this emotional stability within the family, renaming your terms as to how the family is to be run. So you're taking leadership in that spectrum too, because you've been really quiet for the last several years. So yes, it's going to be powered up. And even like for your self-esteem this year, because the North Node sitting on your second house in Aries. I mean, that's a really powerful year for you. Third house, I'm sorry. North Node in the third house. So
Mhm.
this is going to be a very powerful year for you because you're going to be like really powering up your voice and also establishing like this seed of remembrance of some sort with what you've been once passionate about and actually taking charge and doing it. So it's a really good year for you, Aquarius. I'm
Awesome.
happy for you.
And finally, Pisces.
All right, Pisces, this year calls you back to your roots, your local surroundings, your personal haven, and also the profound depths of your inner self. You're going to be feeling much more connection with your own inner self and emerging yourself more with the familial realms. In other words, like family, home life, reconnecting to your roots, and as well as making peace with your past. It's a powerful year to also take root with your creations and receive the cosmic intel for your future endeavors. So, in other words, it's really good to let loose and just receive information this year. It's not necessarily a year for you to take root and like release your latest project. It's more about you becoming more reflective this year and calm and listening to the information within the local sphere of connection. So get involved with like local charities or community projects or just talking to people like the everyday life. Just emerge much more into the outer world as opposed to too much in the inner because as you stay so enclosed within the home that actually will cut you off and your creative ideas will actually not be it will not be fertilized this year. So it's good for you to observe the flow of people in your surroundings and also you interacting with them in order to receive the information needed.
Okay. Lumi, you have run us through some really good, like practical advice, sign
Oh,
by sign. Thank you for taking the time to do that. I guess I kind of want to round things off by no matter what your specific sun sign outlook is for 2024, just maybe some advice for the collective and knowing the state of the stars and the state of things right now, how you can advise us to all, regardless of what sign we are, to find peace in the new year, to do all the work we need to do to be the best we can. Can you just give us some advice to tie things up?
yeah, in order for you to find your inner peace and calm amidst any like chaos that we're experiencing in our life, you have to listen to the voice within. Don't look at an external self, like an external self or an external source as the navigator. Because reason why that is because your inner self knows what it truly wants. If you're feeling any like strenuous feelings or exasperation, that's a sign for you to step back and observe your current outlook on things. I really do emphasize this a lot with people that I work with in my line of practice because I feel like once we lose the connection to self, that's when things go haywire.
Mhm.
because your intuition always knows, because it is also the connection to your higher self. It's also the connection to the universe, the divine, whoever you're affiliated with, because we're a part of it. We're all the sparks of the creation. And when we start losing that focus within ourselves, that's usually when the ego overrides us, or the mundane kind of like over like filters our beliefs and truths. In other words, when you're so focused on the material and anything that's happening like that's beyond our control, that's when we lose focus to
Yeah.
our needs, our own feelings of fulfillment. I cannot stress this enough, because whenever like my clients come to see me, it's usually when the chaos is happening, when they're in the eye of the storm.
Mhm.
But I like to help them like focus on the present moment and help them evaluate the bigger picture, which is usually navigated and guided by our intuitive selves. So yeah, helping you connect with your intuition, I think that's key when it comes to you finding the peace.
Yeah, the answers are always inside, aren't they? They're always within.
Yeah, that's how I see it. And also like how even when I navigate intense moments in my life, and even with clients that I work with, it's more about silencing everything. The stillness is key to help you find clarity.
It is. It's the hardest thing, but it's the
Yes.
key.
Once
Okay.
you master that, that's when you find success.
Oh, it sounds like 2024. I'm going to have to be doing a lot more meditating and just quiet, opening myself up to the world and the universe, because that seems to be the general theme for everybody. Is just tapping into that intuition can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lumi, how do we work with you? How do we get our charts read? Tell us how to best to connect with you.
Yeah, you can find me on my website, which is lumipalenku.com. And my Instagram handle is at lumipalenku. Pretty easy. And you can always connect with me on my email, which is info@lumipalenku.com, for any inquiries or questions about my work. And yeah, that's my info.
And how does it look to work with you? Will you do a combination, like you said, of both the reading and like the chart reading and sort of the coaching as well?
Yeah, I interweave a lot of my transformation life coaching and into my astrology practice. So I work with your birth charts the entire time. And I also help you navigate through intense moments in your life by you giving, granted any questions, or like even navigating through your intense moments through like transformation coaching practices. So, in other words, it's more about in the moment now, but I also look into the year ahead for you in order to
Mhm.
navigate through those intense transits if you have any. So if ever you're going through like existential crisis in a relationship, or self crisis within yourself, or you're just questioning and pondering about like a career decision, I could definitely help you navigate through your birth chart. But
Wow.
because the astrology chart is your tool. It's your own personal tool, because everybody's different. So it's very much crafted and customized just for you.
Yeah, the chart reading we did was really helpful in unlocking strengths and weaknesses and understanding why I am how I am and how to like work with it. So I can vouch for your very, very thorough work in that regard. So,
Thank you.
all right, Lumi, thank you very much. Thank you guys for joining us this week on We Gotta Talk. We gave you a lot of stuff to think about. So go into the new year feeling hopefully a little inspired, a little more grounded, because you know maybe a little bit of what to expect. And here's to hoping for a great 2024 for all of us. Thank you guys again for listening and or watching, and we will see you next time on We Gotta Talk with more good stuff.